YouTube video. My name is Noah Shaw, or Ford 6FO, and today we've got my 2015 F-250 work truck behind me that we had some problems with, and we're gonna kind of go over it because we kind of blew this thing up. So we're cruising down the highway one night, and we kind of got on the truck a little bit, and out of nowhere we heard a super loud boom. And then I instantly noticed that we had no turbo boost at all, but luckily we were able to get home. Felt like we had absolutely no power, but let's go ahead, assess the damage. I'm gonna show y'all exactly what happened and the solution to fixing it on this truck. Let's go ahead, pop the hood open. And if y'all come in here closer, you can tell there's something where it doesn't need to be at all. This intercooler pipe, first of all, is completely broken in half. It completely blew up, gave a little bit of oil over the engine base. We're gonna be cleaning it up. But this plastic piece right here from the factory has all types of issues with these 11 to 16 model trucks. And we're gonna go ahead, get this part off and swapped out. So thanks to our friends over at Sinister Diesel for always helping me out with parts. And if y'all need any parts, you can save 10% with using my code FORD6410. It's gonna be in the description as well. But let's go ahead and unpackage what they sent us and see what we've got. Go ahead, set them aside, open them up, let's see what we got. So in the first box here, we're gonna go ahead, unpackage it. We've got the cold side intercooler pipe. Really, really good packaging with brand new silicone boots. And this is gonna be the problem solver for our issue here. Sent all new clamps, hardware. So very nice. Blue powder coated pipe. Instead of the whole piece being plastic, as you can tell, it's a nice metal design, and the welds on this are just absolutely perfect. Can't really get anything better than that. And they even got a hole for the one sensor, so we're not gonna get any codes or anything on the dash. And this should be our hot side intercooler pipe. Another nice piece, all powder coated blue. We're gonna set that aside. And we've got one last pipe that we're going to be replacing. And there is our last pipe. Definitely going to beat that factory plastic components. Not going to have to worry about it blowing or cracking anymore, especially with these upgraded boots. It's going to solve our problem and keep us on the road so we don't have to worry about any downtime. So if y'all come closer here, you can see the difference where that plastic factory one completely cracked all the way around, and it goes into that intake plandum. With this new metal piece, we're not gonna have to worry about it cracking, and it just goes all the way down to the intercooler perfect, so we can put that boot on and go to the intercooler. So we're gonna go ahead, get these factory pipes off of the truck and get them replaced, and they even sent the hot side as well. So we're gonna go ahead and swap that pipe out also. And they also went ahead and sent us a little bit of a surprise package here. They sent us out some extra parts. And we're gonna go ahead and also be throwing on a full cold air intake system for this 6.7 Powerstroke as well. Let's go ahead, get it unpackaged, lay all these parts out, and show y'all everything laid out, and then get to the process of removing all of the factory components off the truck so we can install all these pieces. But just like the intercooler pipes, but bigger, very nice metal pipes with amazing welds all the way around. And we've got that sensor spot as well. And of course, can't have a cold air intake without the filter. And as far as tools, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 3/8 stubby impact, and we're gonna get an 11mm deep socket to get all of the boot clamps off. Grab a long extension for that side by the intercooler pipe, and a flathead screwdriver, like so. So let's go ahead and get up on my new topside creeper thanks to Traxion. I'm just gonna roll it over, and we're gonna get started on getting all these factory pieces taken off. It makes it a lot easier to work on trucks like this. You can get up right here and lay right down and just reach in and get to work. So down below, we're gonna go ahead and pull out our cold air sensor that I just unplugged. Is the bottom side clamp. It's gonna be an 11mm, and I'm gonna grab my long extension, and it's gonna be down there by the intercooler. Just gonna loosen it up just like that. And we're gonna tug this pipe out and away from the intercooler, just like that, and slowly guide it up and make sure we don't damage anything. And like that, you can see where I unplugged the sensor, and now we're just gonna pull it off that connection right there. And now this pipe is out. You can see how junk this thing is. I even had swapped a new boot on it with a new clamp, but that's not what ended up blowing. The front ended up blowing out, so I'm actually gonna keep this boot and clamp right here because it's like brand new. And next up, the plastic piece that didn't quite make it out, I'm just gonna go ahead and release this spring up like that, pull it off on both sides and away, and then we're gonna start sliding off that plastic piece, and as you can see, that thing, it just blew up all the way around. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the spring out all the way, and then we are gonna go ahead and clean this all up, wipe it down with some blue towels, and get our new pipes in. Next up, we've got that hot side pipe. I'm gonna reach back there with my little trim tool and release the factory spring out of it so we can pull it off the turbo side. Just like so. Once you lift it out, you can just pop it back and then pull the pipe out. And now we're gonna release this side with an 11mm off the intercooler. Almost all the way. Give it a nice tug. And just like that, it's off the intercooler and almost off the turbo, just like that. We're gonna set it aside on the table and show y'all a comparison of the factories compared to the Sinister diesel pipes. So as y'all can see, we've got everything all neatly organized and out, the cold air intake, and then when you come over here, we've got the new intercooler pipes, the cold side and the hot side. As you can see, our factory cold side is just completely blown out, so this is gonna make a huge difference and keep us able to build boost and get our truck back on the road. The hot side wasn't much of a concern, but while we're at it and while we're there, we might as well just replace it with our new pipe as well. So let's go ahead and get started on putting all of these pipes back on the truck. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of wipe everything the best I can and the inside all cleaned out so we can throw these new pipes in, and then we'll move on to the cold air intake after. So the first piece we're gonna go ahead and throw on is the hot side pipe. I'm gonna toss on the small section first, and then we're gonna throw on the rest. Let's go ahead. Pop up here and get this pressed on to the turbo, super simple. And once we get it lined up properly, just like that, it'll click into place, and then we'll rotate it till it seats all the way down, nice and flush, like so. So the first thing we're gonna go ahead and do is slide the boot over the intercooler for the hot side, and get it all the way in there flush, with our clamps over as well, so we don't have to open them up afterwards. And then I'm gonna grab our hot side pipe here, make sure the logo's faced the right way. I wanna put the intercooler side in first as well, all the way in, and then we're gonna rotate it, go. And then once we can get it just like that, twist it in and press into place, we can go ahead and set all of these clamps down, and that's gonna wrap it up for the hot side pipe right there. And now we're gonna go ahead, slide all these intercooler clamps exactly where we want them, and run them down with an 11mm on the end pads. And then I'm gonna tighten them up to exactly where they need to be, but first I'm just gonna run them all down. Nice and tight. And lastly, we've got one more up top here. I'm gonna go ahead, run them down, make sure they feel tight with the ratchet, and then we're gonna move on to the cold side pipe and get it fixed. Next up, we've got the cold side pipe, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab this boot and a little bit of PV blaster to make this easier. We're gonna come up top again, and this is gonna slide all the way down onto the intercooler like this first, but I always go ahead and grab a little bit of lubricant to make it easier to slide on. So I'm just gonna spray it around the boot, and then slide it around. And now that I've got the lubricant all the way on and the clamps mounted, I'm just gonna go ahead and slide it down there and put it on to that lower intercooler spot. Push it on by hand, and then we're gonna be able to slide the pipe on. Head, run down our clamp. It's just a little bit tight. And then we're gonna get this other pipe on. So we're gonna go ahead, go under all the coolant hoses, press the side, work it down until it's all the way on that boot, and slide it over to where the spring clamp goes on. And just with some wax and grease remover, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe down these pipes all the way, get them all cleaned up, and then we're gonna move on to installing the cold air intake. So now we've got that CAC sensor, and we're gonna go ahead and line it up right here and twist it on. It's a 1/4 turn sensor. And I'm gonna grab that factory wiring right there, plug it in, and that kind of wraps it up for the hot side and cold side pipe install. So let's move on to getting this factory cold air intake out and the new one in. First thing we're gonna go ahead and do is release the little clip back on the plug sensor for the cold air intake, and release this back, unclip the whole intake box. We're gonna unclip the intake box, we're gonna slide it out, and then I'm gonna go ahead, pop up this AC line off on both sides, just set all this out of the way. Front, where the air intake plenum is, with a flat head, and release that hose clamp right there until we have enough room to where we can pull it out with the 8mm on the impact. And unscrew this little plastic box right here, pull these lines back, pull the AC line off, and then we're just gonna go ahead and take this whole system right here out. Carefully, get the lines out of the way. And that's that top part of the cold air intake. We gotta make sure we keep that sensor because it's gonna be going on the new one. So I'm just gonna set it aside for now. A little 8mm right there. I'm gonna loosen that one. Set the bolt aside, and then on the bottom of this box there's just some rubber clips. You're just going to pull up on it real tight like that so it releases, and then we're going to set that cold air intake box out. And as you can see, the filter is still really clean, so we're going to save that. And then with the Torx 20, I'm going to go ahead and get this factory sensor off of the truck so we can put it on the new pipe. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and run down the 2 new bolts for that sensor, and then we're gonna get it placed in the truck. Our filter, slide it on the end till it's all the way in place. And we can adjust it once we're in the truck to see exactly where we need to be. And it also comes with a new bracket to mount into that factory placement down there below. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run this down till it's flush. Head and slide the boot over the plenum. Make sure we get it fully seated all the way on both sides. And once we get everything mounted in place, I'll get tightened down all the way. I'm just gonna get it on a little bit so it doesn't move anywhere. Grab our intake with the bracket that we mounted and just guide it into place slowly, just like that. And then I'm gonna press this bracket down here into place, push it down in, and then I'm gonna get these boots tightened up, plug that sensor back in, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up with the 13mm. Route the sensor under and over, carefully plug it in, and press the red clip back down, and just like that, our cold air intake is all mounted into place. Everything is tightened down, and we are basically good to go. I'm gonna clean up underneath a little bit more, but everything else is gonna have to be pressure washed, and I'll wipe down all the pipes, and then this install is finished. So the truck will be ready to get back to work. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead, open the shop up now, close the hood on the work truck, and get it pulled out of the shop. Make sure it's building boost and holding it. Now we can throw this trash cold side intercooler pipe in the trash where it belongs. Taking it down the highway and it's building boost like it's supposed to and holding it, so we're good to go. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap it up for today's video, installing the cold side, hot side, and cold air intake. Thanks to Sinister Diesel for my 2015 F250. So if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to leave a like down below, comment, let me know what you thought about the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. But other than that, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you next time.